people know about it, a lot of people use it, but this is their homepage. It's fairly simple, right? And they're in big letters, it says remember everything. And this is not really a unique value proposition, but this is kind of their slogan, which is slightly different than a unique value proposition. But they kind of decided to represent the unique value proposition slightly differently. By using visuals, right? So we won't go into too much into details here, but you see that the three major visuals that they've decided to use with a caption underneath and a line or two underneath that describes what that capture does. So they're highlighting three different benefits to their users right on their homepage, and when you click on it, you can learn more. This is a website I created not too long ago for a jewelry designer, and again, I decided to use her most important statement, which is a custom jewelry designer, personally created using hand-selected gems and stones. So her big thing is that she wants to use hand-selected, very unique pieces, and use it to design jewelry. And so I decided to very simple design with highlighting some of similar products to hers, and then a link to show her collections. This is a website I came across recently. It's called Sponsorified, and the idea for that is to find. Well, let's read it. We simplify sponsorships by connecting best brands with amazing opportunities. So they match sponsors basically. So if you have an event or something you're looking for sponsors, you can find big corporations that will be matched. That way you can find a sponsor that matches, that is interested in your values or in your event, and therefore can sponsor your event or your activity. And again, they just, in big letters, once you land on their homepage, that's what they see. They want to capture, they want to very simply tell people the benefit they can provide. Okay? This is another tool that I use, and this is again their website. Similar to the Evernote approach, here they emphasize their biggest feature, which is time tracking, and again they use a three visual concept to highlight three different values or three different benefits. In this case, actually, their features that their potential customer would be interested in. Am I going too fast, by the way, my time? I know I'm talking too fast, but...
Talk a little fast.
A little fast? Faster than usual or about the same? Or slower? Faster than usual? Well, once I know I have a time limit, then I can't talk all day, right? I can slow down and talk all day, but I don't want to do that. You might not want me to do that either. This is another tool that I use when I create a website for somebody in WordPress. It's called Gravity Forms, and if I've worked on your website, I may have installed it. Some people might recognize it. You don't have to worry about it. But so they provide forms, and they create. It's a form tool, right? You can create forms with it, complex, sophisticated, and so on. And again, when you land on their website, they have contact forms for WordPress. Just don't get any easier than Gravity Forms. And they have a video right away where you can click on it and see how the Gravity Form works in action.
Ms. Sharif?
Yes.
What I'm really getting loud and clear from all these examples is how if you go to these websites, you know right away what their unique competitive edge is, and what is their value proposition. Whereas a lot of websites that I go to, I don't know that. I have to search around, I'm reading, I'm going to a different page. So I just think that these are great examples.
Yeah, and
a great reminder to us all.
Sure, and that varies. I went to Apple's site when I'm doing this presentation. They have absolutely nothing, but everybody goes to Apple. They know what they're looking for in Apple. So, but sometimes I go to websites and I'm not really sure what they do, and it takes me a couple minutes sometimes and to find out, well, what exactly do they do? And if it's not clear, most people are not interested or invested that long to find out what they do. Okay. The next example, I'm going to truncate the piece because I didn't get permission from the website owner because it's still in development. But again, this is a part on the homepage, and I apologize if the font is too... Okay. So this is for a new... It's not a new company, but from what I heard, I think it was reported on CNN this morning that they finally approved the DBA of Best Care at Home. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
After the $3 million purchase.
No, that was $4 million. Yeah, we'll get to that story some other day, right? That's an April Fool's joke that I put on my blog, and actually still sometimes people say it and they think it's real, that my company got purchased for millions of dollars, but it wasn't true, unfortunately. But anyway.
It's a good story.
Yeah, I think yeah. So again, this is the homepage, so you can imagine the navigation on top and all that stuff, but this is the core. When someone lands on the page, that's what they see. They see a gentleman who's smiling, and underneath it, was what I think is a good unique value proposition, which is we provide personal assistance to keep you or your loved one living as independent and as safe as possible in the comfort of home. Okay? So, okay, now the fun time is over, okay? We had a great time going through some examples. Now we're going to get to real work here, okay? So now that you've seen all these examples and things, now I think I wanted to cover a couple of slides, I think, that talk about how you fill out your business canvas model, your link canvas model. There is the link included on the top. And by the way, I'm joking. It's still fun, okay? Don't get too serious on me. Everybody started grunting. Sorry, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, when you go to the link, you'll see the ability to download that link canvas. And one thing that I'd like to emphasize is that you should include a link canvas or create a link canvas for each segment of your audiences. So if you are a business owner who potentially has different customers, for example, Steve, you may have a desktop, somebody, or maybe a client or somebody who's using Apple, iOS, or tablet, or maybe a specific, even more specific than that, a specific kind of virus that tends to attract different machines. So think about each of your customer segments and figure out, okay, this is my target audience. What is my unique value proposition to them? Right. So, and again, it's important to use relevant terms to them, because in corporations, it's easy to say, well, our mission statement is this, or our mission, value is this, and this is great. But then when you're communicating that message or that value to a customer, you need to use terms that they use. And so again, focusing on focusing on your link canvas, and if you developed your problems and your solutions boxes carefully, then unique value proposition can add values. Is how do you provide that unique value proposition to that particular customer segment? Okay, so once you create it, now you have to communicate it, right? So you can create it and save it and show it to no one, but that would be no good, right? Obviously. So you have to communicate in different ways. I've shown several examples of how you can demonstrate your unique value proposition on a website. And one key that I recommend is to try to be consistent, right? So if you're trying to create a value for somebody or a specific target audience, if you're trying to capture that, then you should be consistent on the website. So when you demonstrate it on your website, but also as you communicate your social media messages that you're writing, and also the customer experience. So when actually it's time to provide or deliver that service to the customer, you have to keep in mind, am I providing that value to the customer? So sometimes unique value proposition can be used as a marketing message, but then when the customer actually comes in, you have to make sure that they actually receive, or you actually deliver on that value that you promised you would, right? And just different ways to do that. I didn't think to include examples here, but maybe I can think of some where you can actually communicate that unique value over social media. But really, you're not trying to tell them what your unique value proposition is, right? You're not saying, on Twitter, for example, my unique value proposition is to do this or to do that. That's just telling them, right? What you want is to actually use examples, use success stories, focus on the story benefits, the finished story benefit, how solutions that you can provide. For example, on Facebook, if you're, for example, Chris, you're trying to provide, encouragement and support and growth, all that kind of thing, and you do a great job with that on your Facebook by providing links to articles that demonstrate that, or maybe visuals that support that concept, and so on. So you're providing the value without actually telling them this is my value. Does that make sense? And again, keep in mind that this is part of your branding and identity, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that when you're branding yourself, this is consistent. So if you're providing a certain value, then you want to make sure everything is consistent with that, right? So your website has to match that, your social media has to match that, the messages that you're saying, and also in your customer experiences, it has to reflect that value, okay? And yeah, that's it. So I wanted to leave by asking, what about you? Can you think of examples of unique value propositions, or does anybody have one? Chris?
And just what you're talking about is what I'm already working on, because Sharif is in the process of updating my website. Sorry, I have glasses on. I have a procedure on my eyes. It's very bright in here. So, and I've been working on the pain points, the problems, and the solutions in just brief bullet outlines. So I'm working on that behind the scenes, which I'll give to you so you can see, because right now my website doesn't say that. And